The North Atlantic in winter, 1000 CE. Waves the size of buildings crash against a wooden longship as temperatures plunge below freezing. Ice forms on the rigging. Beards freeze solid. Breath crystallizes in Arctic air. For weeks at sea, crews are exposed to conditions that would kill a modern person in hours. They have no cabin, no shelter, no walls between them, and the killing cold. Most remarkably of all, they have no way to make fire. So how did Viking crews survive voyages across the most treacherous waters on Earth without any heating aboard their ships? The answer will completely shatter what you think you know about Viking maritime technology. Excavations from 8 major ship sites reveal a shocking truth. Vikings never heated their ships. Not with braziers, not with hearths, not with any fire at all. This wasn't primitive ignorance. It was calculated engineering that prioritized safety over comfort, using strategies so effective they enabled the conquest of nations and the discovery of continents. The story begins with a fundamental maritime reality that Hollywood gets completely wrong. Fire and wooden ships are mortal enemies. When you're sailing in a vessel made entirely of pine, oak, and tarred rope, a single spark doesn't just risk warmth, it risks everything. But how do we know Vikings actually sailed without fire? The answer comes from the ships themselves, preserved for 1,000 years, waiting to tell their story. The most complete evidence emerges from Roskilde Fjord, where the famous Skuldelev ships lay hidden for nearly a millennium. These 5 Viking vessels, warships, cargo nars, and fishing boats dating from 1000 to 1070 CE were exhaustively excavated by the Viking Ship Museum. Teams recovered water barrels, tool chests, ballast stones, even traces of preserved food. But here's what made researchers double-check their findings. Across all 5 vessels, representing different ship types and functions, not a single heating device. No brazier, no hearth, nothing. This absence continues at every major Viking ship discovery. The Oseberg ship from 834 CE contained elaborate cooking vessels, but these were burial goods for the afterlife, never used at sea. The Gokstad ship from 890 CE featured massive water storage systems, yet 0 cooking facilities. Even the recent Gokstad excavation of 2020 to 2021, using ground-penetrating radar and modern scanning techniques, found no cooking or heating apparatus. The sagas confirm this pattern. Norwegian legal texts, preserved in the Gragas law codes, mandated 3 daily shore trips for ship's cooks, 1 for water collection and 2 for meal preparation. The Erbygja saga describes drawing lots for who was to prepare food on the ship. But this refers to shore-based preparation, not shipboard cooking. So Vikings definitely didn't use fire at sea. But why accept such brutal cold rather than risk even a controlled flame? The answer lies in the terrifying reality of wooden ship fires. Viking vessels used clinker-built construction, overlapping planks sealed with tar, gaps stuffed with animal hair and wool, rigging waterproofed with pine pitch. The sail itself, densely woven wool treated with animal fat for water resistance, was essentially a massive torch waiting for ignition. But the real danger was the completely open design. Unlike later vessels with enclosed decks, Viking ships were enormous open boats. No bulkheads, no fire breaks, no way to contain a blaze. Maritime archaeology studies indicate a fire in such conditions could consume an entire vessel in under 4 minutes. Ship construction made onboard fires extremely dangerous. Every surface contained highly flammable materials. Physical remains from all major excavations shows no fire-resistant installations, metal hearths, or protective systems that would enable safe shipboard heating. For Vikings, fire meant certain destruction. If Vikings couldn't use fire, trapped on frozen seas for weeks without heat, how did they possibly survive? The answer required reimagining warmth itself. Archaeological textile evidence from sites like Herjolfsnes in Greenland reveals sophisticated layered clothing systems that could retain warmth even when wet, a critical advantage over many modern materials. Vikings developed different wool grades for different functions: wind resistance, insulation, and moisture management. The most remarkable discovery comes from preserved clothing finds and saga descriptions. Vikings practiced daily sleeve modifications for maximum heat retention. According to the Laxdala saga, women crew members would use bone needles and wax thread to seal men's sleeves tight at the wrists each morning. Not tied, not buttoned, sewn shut. This created an airtight seal preventing heat loss. Before combat or landing, warriors would cut themselves free with their sayax knives. This daily ritual was part of revolutionary textile technology. Greenlandic burial sites show specialized winter garments, sealskin outer layers for maritime crews, fur-lined clothing from wolf and bear pelts, and evidence of this sleeve modification practice in preserved garments. The layering system was sophisticated beyond modern understanding. Each layer worked together to create what researchers call a portable microclimate. But even this advanced clothing couldn't preserve body heat during the long hours of sleep. That's when Vikings deployed their most ingenious innovation. Forget Hollywood's image of Vikings wrapped in individual furs. The reality was far more intimate and effective. Vikings used communal sleeping systems documented in multiple saga sources. The Egil's saga describes shared sleeping arrangements using what the sagas call waterproof skin bags, likely the Hudfat mentioned in the Prose Edda. These were two-person sleeping bags made of sheepskin with fur lining, designed not for privacy but for survival. Two bodies in an insulated space generate compound heat. The bags could maintain internal temperatures 15 to 20 degrees warmer than outside air using only body heat. Winter camp sites demonstrate these weren't luxury items, but standard maritime equipment. Crews were assigned sleeping partners based on watch schedules, as documented in the Landnamabok. When one sailor stood watch, his body heat warmed the shared space. When they switched, the second man entered an already warm environment. The sleeping area never cooled completely. The sleeping arrangement itself showed thermal genius. Ship reconstructions indicate crews slept between rowing benches on platforms created from stored oars, staying above the coldest bilge air. The sail, when lowered, became a tent over the entire vessel, trapping warm air from dozens of bodies. Even wealthy Vikings shared these communal arrangements. Ship leaders received no special heating privileges. Survival requirements overrode social distinctions during voyages. But maintaining body heat in such conditions required enormous calories from food that couldn't be cooked. Vikings consumed preserved foods specifically designed for cold consumption, as documented across trading post excavations. Sites in Hedeby revealed the preparation techniques: dried fish that remained edible for months, ship's biscuits, knakbrød that wouldn't spoil in salt spray, and cold porridge systems prepared before departure. The porridge system, described in the Icelandinger saga, was particularly ingenious. Cooks would prepare massive quantities with added butter and salt for preservation. This mixture would congeal into a nutrient-dense paste that could be eaten directly or mixed with cold water. These provisions supplied the 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day, essential for cold weather survival. Yorksite excavations show the scale of this provisioning. Massive stores of dried fish, hardtack biscuits, and fermented dairy products designed for extended voyages without cooking. But where did Vikings develop such sophisticated systems? The answer comes from their extensive infrastructure on land. Vikings weren't actually at sea continuously. Recent coastal surveys have uncovered extensive harbour networks for regular shore stops. Over 200 documented sites from Norway to Newfoundland, documented by the Viking Ship Museum's Coastal Archaeology project. The scale of these operations only became clear with modern excavations. Research at Torksey, England, by the Universities of Sheffield and York, 2009 to 2017, revealed what these bases actually were. A winter camp spanning 55 plus hectares with proper hearth systems, workshops and family accommodations. These heating stations supported entire fleet operations through proper warming and food preparation impossible at sea. On land, Vikings possessed complex cooking technology that archaeological evidence shows never transferred to ships. These digs uncover riveted iron pots with integrated tripod systems, specialized suspension chains for hearth cooking, and soapstone vessels with superior thermal properties. These systems functioned exclusively during beached operations. Viking longhouse designs from sites like Borg in the Lofoten Islands demonstrate advanced understanding of airflow patterns, smoke evacuation, and efficient central hearth placement. Yet these innovations never appeared in shipboard applications due to fundamental safety constraints. Vikings possessed the technology for shipboard heating. They deliberately chose not to use it. But why choose calculated discomfort when other cultures found heating solutions? While Vikings sailed without fire, Mediterranean cultures had developed onboard cooking systems by 600 CE. Roman naval archaeology reveals ships with bronze braziers and specialized charcoal stoves. Byzantine vessels included dedicated galley areas with chimney systems and proper ventilation, all documented through underwater excavations in the Mediterranean. Vikings weren't unique among Northern Europeans in avoiding shipboard fires. Anglo-Saxon and Frisian maritime archaeology, studied extensively by researchers at Cambridge and Groningen universities, shows nearly identical patterns. No shipboard heating systems, reliance on cold provisions, and shore-based cooking strategies. But Mediterranean innovations didn't transfer northward due to different construction methods and climate priorities. Vikings made a calculated trade-off. Eliminating heating equipment saved cargo capacity and achieved superior speed, critical advantages for both raids and hasty escapes. Could modern sailors survive the same conditions using authentic Viking methods? Modern experimental archaeology confirms Viking techniques work. The 2007 Sea Stallion voyage from Roskilde to Dublin using an authentic Skuldelev reconstruction proved that properly equipped crews using historical methods can survive extended cold water sailing without any heating systems. The expedition, documented by the Viking Ship Museum, demonstrated that shared sleeping arrangements, communal clothing maintenance, and coordinated watch rotations were absolutely critical for cold weather survival. The combination of appropriate wool clothing, social warming techniques, and weather management kept crew core body temperatures in safe ranges even during North Sea crossings in challenging conditions. But the physical systems required psychological support strategies that proved equally important for survival. Evidence from over 50 Viking camps contain more than 300 gaming pieces, dice, board games, and carved entertainment items. According to researchers at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo, crews invested significant time in social activities during harsh conditions. These weren't mere entertainment, but deliberate psychological strategies that complemented physical warming techniques. Gaming, storytelling, and organized competition helped crews endure discomfort by maintaining morale. Vikings understood intuitively that mental state directly affected physical endurance, what we now recognize as psychological thermogenesis. Strategic voyage planning also minimized psychological stress. Vikings generally avoided winter sailing entirely, operating within carefully calculated weather windows that made survival achievable rather than heroic. They timed voyages to follow seasonal patterns, maximizing shore contact rather than enduring endless cold exposure. The Vikings conquered the North Atlantic not despite their lack of shipboard heating, but because of their decision to reject it entirely. Archaeological evidence from 8 major excavations definitively establishes that Vikings did not heat their ships during voyages. This wasn't technological limitation, but calculated safety engineering. Vikings prioritized vessel integrity and crew survival over onboard comfort. Their remarkable success stemmed from sophisticated non-heating strategies, advanced wool technology that functioned when wet, ingenious social warming systems using shared body heat, strategic voyage planning with extensive shore-based infrastructure, and comprehensive provisioning systems designed for cold consumption. Rather than hardy warriors enduring constant harsh conditions, Vikings were strategic maritime engineers who developed sustainable solutions for cold weather navigation. They balanced mobility, safety, and crew welfare through careful planning and innovative social cooperation, not brute endurance. Vikings reached North America 500 years before Columbus. They established trade routes from Greenland to Constantinople. They shaped medieval Europe through maritime dominance. They achieved it all in open boats, deliberately choosing to sail without fire. When winter wind cuts through your modern jacket, when you instinctively reach for your car's heater, remember that Viking sailors made the conscious decision to reject such comfort. They chose strategic capability over warmth, operational safety over individual ease, collective survival over personal comfort. Vikings didn't just endure the cold. They systematically transformed their entire approach to survive and thrive within it. They restructured their social systems around it. They reimagined what was possible within its constraints. In the end, Vikings didn't need to heat their ships because they had learned something far more powerful: how to heat themselves through cooperation, planning, and sheer strategic brilliance. And in that transformation, from comfort-dependent land dwellers to cold-adapted maritime warriors, they became unstoppable.